Stop hoping for your business to grow and start mastering the formula for success that every entrepreneur needs to grow their business. Join us for 5+1 Mastery, where every week we go in depth on how to grow your business the right way. Learn more at 5+1mastery.com.
This question popped into my mind and I asked, are you really doing everything you can to tap into your own skills and talents, or are you taking the easy way out? And instantly I answered that. My answer was,
I'm your host, Chaz Wilson. I bring you successful entrepreneurs, add valuable wisdom to your journey, and help you succeed. Welcome to Connect, Share, and Prosper.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Connect, Share, Prosper. I'm your host, Chaz Wilson. I'm excited today, beyond excited, for all of us, for you, for me, and for this conversation that we're going to have today. I am joined today with Mark Victor Hansen and Kristen Dwyer Hansen. Did I say that correctly? Sorry about that. And I just let me give you guys some background. If you don't know who Mark Victor Hansen is, you probably recognize his name, but you may be just, where's that connection from? So let me tell you, Mark Victor Hansen is best known as the co-author for Chicken Soup of the Soul book series, which has set world records by having over 500 million books sold. He's also sought after keynote speaker in entrepreneurial marketing, and his audiences often refer to him as dynamic and compelling, which I absolutely love. I love people who are dynamic and compelling. Mark's been on television and featured in countless radio and newspaper interviews where he continues to assure people everywhere that with the right principles and mentors, you can easily create the life of your dreams. And we're super excited to talk to Mark Victor Hansen and Crystal Dwyer Hansen. I don't know why I'm so tongue-twisted this morning.
it's okay, it's a bit of a tongue twister.
Guys, welcome to Connect, Share, Prosper today.
It's our joy. We believe all three of those is a good idea. We like to connect. Yeah. We want to have everybody prosper because there's fundamental abundance available in the world. And because we were talking before we started, crisis, you know, the yin and the yang sign has a little
yes.
Crisis always equals opportunity. So we got a massive crisis, so there's massive opportunity, and the spiritual law is seek and you'll find. And so each of us has to independently seek, and we'll teach how to do that through the portal or the window of our book called Ask.
Yes. So let's talk about the book, and then we'll talk about some things going on right now. But obviously, Mark, you've written many books and been a part of I love all the things we've been talking about. But why this book and why now?
Go ahead, Crystal.
So actually, Chaz, we spend a lot of time traveling the world, and we've met so many amazing people. Both of us are authors, speakers, and we're just fortunate enough to connect with many, many people. But we started to notice that there were kind of two groups of people. Both groups were likable, qualified, wanted great things, often educated, but there was a difference. And we're like, what is this differentiator? Why is this guy that should be on TV, should be making millions, barely getting by? Or why is this woman who be running a city? She's so intelligent, not able to make it. And so we started to, peel it down. And what it really comes down to is your ability to ask. Asking is such a simple tool that each of us are born with, but it often gets kind of crushed out of us. And, but it gets to a point where people are actually afraid to ask. They have unworthiness. We say there are 7 roadblocks to asking, which we go through extensively in the book. But as we really drilled down on this topic, we said, this is important. This is something we really need to share, because we figured out there are actually 3 channels through which to ask. And that is ask yourself, ask others, and ask God.
Yes.
And each of those channels is equally important. And when you start to practice the art and science of asking, which we believe it is part, half art, half science.
Yes.
You will start to see miraculous things, miraculous changes in your lives. And it's something everyone can learn. It's so exciting. So this book just took on a life of its own. We just have been so excited about it.
It's interesting. I had someone on my Facebook page last night who was speaking to our tribe kind of as a voice of calm through this chaos right now. And he said one of the things he talked about was his 13 principles he teaches. Principles number 6 was ask and receive. And he said, this is a time where people start to, with everything that's going on in the world right now with coronavirus and everything, they start to kind of go tight like this. And this is the time he's saying, no, this is the time to ask I thought it's interesting, the similar message you guys are sharing.
Right.
Well, it's true because, 1974, I built a big business in New York. I was living out on Long Island, but I built the Wall Street Racquet Club, Botanica Gardens, aviaries, but I unfortunately was building out of plastic, PVC, polyvinyl chloride. Now, the fact of the matter is it was my best, worst experience, but I crashed and burned so fast, I had to check a book out of the library, How to Go Bankrupt by Yourself. And, I was hiding under the covers and not able to pay bills. And then I back to the three things that we say is ask yourself. I said, well, what is it I really want to do? And I'd sold my way. I've been selling since I was 9 years old. We can talk to that. But I sold my way through college, and somebody gave me an audio tape back then called You're Either the Creature, Circumstance, or the Creator. And I thought, wow, if I created this, I could uncreate it. And I listened to it again and again, reignited myself, said, well, I want to be a professional speaker. I was in Hicksville, Long Island, New York with 4 roommates at breakfast one day with all of us. I said, is there anybody that's young, not a cotton top, white-haired old person, celebrity, famous doctor or lawyer? And the guy said, yeah, I'm in real estate, and there's a real estate trainer out here in Hauppauge, Long Island, New York. And man, I jumped my car at 8:30 by 9. I listened to this guy. I said, tell me how to do this business. He said, the chance of you making it, boy, is 1 in 1,000, which is important for your listeners because every one of us needs to know you got to prospect in the rough times. And it turned out I went after the life insurance business. I said, here's the 4 questions you asked. The last one, if you were a general agent. And by the way, I didn't own any life insurance. I didn't know what a premium was.
Right.
I didn't know what a general agent was. I didn't know what a manager was.
Sounds like me when I started real estate. I'd never bought a home, never sold a home. And I was trying to tell people, how to, come work with me. I totally get that.
Yeah. So the point is, and that's where all of us are right now, because a lot of us are going to be unemployed here at a very quick clip. And you're either part of the creation or part of the chaos. And one of the things that we believe is that you and I, as human beings, are here to create and then contribute. And we love contributing on your show here because if you make the right connections, if you get your relationship capital right, you've got abundance in front of you. And we're going to come out of this crisis better than ever.
Yeah. So first of all, thank you, both of you, for that message. I'm anxious and excited to read this book because I think it's timely. There's lots of books that get written, but I think your message is timeless and timely, which is an interesting thing,
Can
right?
you put that in writing and give it to us, please?
Absolutely, I'd be happy to. But I think you'd agree, right? The message of ask is timeless. Like it's beginning to now, like. And it's very timely in what we're going through right now. And I think that people forget that. And if I might, I'm going to be a little bold here. I'll share with you that from my perspective, please. Mark, directly in our conversation with you, my conversation with you. We were introduced through a mutual connection. And he asked me and said, hey, would you be willing to have Mark on your show? He's selling some books and it's a great book. And he'd love to, share that with your network. I said, absolutely. We get on the phone and I said, I'd like to, you're trying to sell books and like great authors do, they have this great message and they want to get in. I shouldn't say trying to sell books. You do a great job of selling books.
Only $500 million.
Right. And I said to you, what if I buy 300 copies? Would you be willing to speak at an event? That was actually a little out of my norm. And you were gracious and you said, yeah, let's figure it out. Let's work through it. And I remember walking away from that. And I had the conscious thought. The irony struck me simply of the book is Ask, a bridge from your dreams to your destiny. I just asked and look what happened. I don't know. I'm just sharing that from my perspective. I thought it was an interesting display of what you're teaching.
Let's talk about that just a second. And thank you for giving us that feedback and letting everyone out there know that you had the courage to ask, because that's what we're saying is that we're both bold askers. I mean, she's got a great reputation too of that. And most people are afraid to ask. And if you're going to ask for a sale, why not ask for a big one? And if you're going to ask to solve a problem, why not a big one? And right now, what we got is a problem. The Danish poet laureate Pat Heinz says, what the world needs now is problem solvers galore, because each problem we solve creates 10 problems more. We got a lot of problems. And that means we got a lot of opportunity. And you might as well pick on those listening. The guy at Singularity University, Dr. Demandis says, look, you want to be a billionaire, help a billion people. Why not pick a big problem that's going to harvest you giant stuff? It doesn't matter what you haven't done. That's what I love about you and I were so in alignment from the first second that you started real estate with no offense intended, but no training.
No.
skills.
Oh, I tell those stories all the time. Yes.
I started
Same thing
training.
you did, yeah.
And right now we could laugh at it, but I called on 10 people like the guy told me to do. The 10th guy was a lovely old Italian guy that was maybe he weighed 300 or 400 pounds. And he said, my name's Tony and I'm number one in Metropolitan. He had one of the squeaky voices. You could see what part of family he was part of. And he said, here, kid, here's a directory. And you just tell them Tony called you. And I went from selling 1 in 10 to almost 1 out of 2. And then pretty soon everybody bought because it was the worst time. The economy had just crashed with a 22% interest rate. You may not be old enough to remember that. The oil embargo hit. People were lining up to get oil, even though it was 25 cents a gallon. And yet I went out and I was booking 4 talks a day. I did one at 6 in the morning, one at 10, one at 2, and one at 6 p.m. And I sold in between. And it's only Tony Robbins and I think, that ever did 1,000 talks a year for the first 3 years of our careers as professionals.
Wow.
You get pretty good pretty fast because people they give you instant feedback.
You know, there's so much wisdom in this. Then I'm going to get to a couple questions that maybe, so you brought something up that's interesting. So you've been through, and Crystal, I want to dive into your story a little bit too of, we've talked about this. You've been through this a little bit. You've seen some of the stuff that's going on. I've seen it. There's people right now who haven't. And I would say to them listening, lean on us who have.
Bingo.
Correct.
Right? You're going to get through. And in fact, some of the greatest things come out. I just said to a group this morning, I believe we just come out of fall in the economy. The harvest was good. We gathered it. We put it together. Now we're starting to see the first snowfall. We're going into winter. But what comes after winter? Spring. It will come.
It will come.
It will come. And you saw that through your experiences too.
Well, let me just talk to that in a macro way, if you don't mind. We can go
Please.
micro if you want, which I was just doing my own store. But in a macro way, 1898, we had the biggest depression America's ever had. What came out of that was 3 booming products. We had the automobile, internal combustion with Henry Ford. We had the telephone, right, with Alexander Graham Bell, which everyone didn't believe because, what do you mean you're calling somebody on a wire? This is asinine. And then we had all these 3 great inventions, and we had a great boom called the Roaring 20s. And then all of a sudden, 29. And by the way, the person that wrote us out of that was The Science of Getting Rich, which I'm going to recommend our books, but other books are great to read because self-help action books are what your show is teaching and what your network is teaching. Science of Getting Rich by Wallace Wattles wrote us out of that. The Depression at 29 to 39, Napoleon Hill interviewed the 500 richest people thanks to Andrew Carnegie. I'm a scholar in all these guys and ladies, but the fact of the matter is he wrote all the fireside chats for FDR. You have nothing to fear but fear itself, confront your fears, make it disappear, all that stuff. But in 37, the book comes out and he writes us out of the depression with Think and Grow Rich. And obviously I've written 7 money books like 1 Minute Millionaire and Cash in a Flash, Richest Kids in America. And now we think Ask is the most important book because it's a seminal book. It's a seed book to get inside your soul, inside your heart, wake you up to, because I like Crystal, and I know I shouldn't lead her into this, but
no, it's fine.
She says every time you ask a question, what happens to your brain cells?
Well, we did a lot of research for the book, Chaz, and there's a lot of research that's been done on asking. And when you ask yourself a question, it literally lights up a different part of your brain. So your brain is going to work for you in a completely different way. And that's why we say there are 3 different ways to ask. And the ask yourself part is critical, especially at a time of crisis like this. And I'll tell you, even though this crisis is being sort of foisted upon all of us right now, we didn't create it.
Right.
There will be many times where you have a personal crisis and it didn't come from anything outside. It's just your own personal situation. And I think my worst time, the worst time that happened to me, I was very young. I was in my early 20s. I was in a brand new city by myself, no friends or family, had a baby on my hip, no husband.
And she'd been divorced.
No job. I'd been just recently divorced. I was precocious when I was young, and I got married at age 16 because high school was easy for me. And I married a guy that was 5 years older, and it didn't work out. Anyhow, so here I am, not knowing what to do. And I applied for food stamps. And I remember standing in line at the grocery store, and suddenly this feeling came over me. And this question popped into my mind. And I asked, are you really doing everything you can to tap into your own skills and talents, or are you taking the easy way out? And instantly I answered that. My answer was, it's like time slowed down, and I'll never forget it, because as I was turning those food stamps over to the cashier, I was saying to myself, this will not be my future. This will not be my future. And I went home and I started asking. I never applied again. And I started asking more questions. What could I do? How could I get work as fast as possible so I never again, not one more time, have to use those, this public assistance? Because I know I can do more for myself. So the answer to that was I just applied for all of these temporary service agencies, like Kelly Girls, but I did 3 of them because I thought, now I have more choices. If I applied, there was no limit on how many you could register with. So now I had sort of a smorgasbord of choices, and I started doing, setting up displays at malls and working in attorneys' offices. And what I discovered about myself through that was that I actually had some skills for work, and I had a business sense, and I liked it, and I got along with people. And so I got excited about that. So fast forward, I kept asking and answering those questions. I ended up getting my real estate license. Within a year and a half to 2 years, I was working for the top home builder in our valley. I became the #1 salesperson, and I had also snooped around and started asking of modeling agencies, was picked up by the top modeling agency in our valley, and was getting residuals on some commercials that I had shot. And so I had, benefits for I registered with SAG-AFTRA because,
everyone knows what SAG is.
It's the union. So I had the union benefits. I had my real estate money.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like my life took this gigantic pivot. But I've often thought back about that. And as we were writing the book, Mark and I were thinking back at those pivotal times in our lives where we had a personal crisis. What got us out of that was asking ourselves, digging deep, and then as you ask yourself those questions, you'll start to get an illumination, a solution, an epiphany. And as that happens, you start to move forward. And that's why we call it the bridge, literally the bridge from your dreams to your destiny, because we all have dreams in our hearts. I mean, most people are over-endowed, over-talented, but they're not tapping into that. And asking helps you to get unstuck when you're stuck. And it helps you to keep taking those little steps. Just keep asking, keep getting your answers, your illuminations, and just continue to ask. And you will find yourself looking in the rearview mirror going, wow, look what happened when I started to ask.
Yeah, for me, it was this time where I had, it was 2011. No, it's actually 2012. And I just come out of real estate. I was very leveraged in real estate. I had company, mortgage, title, I had properties, all this stuff. I thought I was crushing it, and then all of a sudden, but out of that is what spawned Master Networks. And I reached out to somebody who was somebody I knew, but I knew of. And, he's in his 70s, and he'd run big national organizations, and he had retired from that. And I asked if he would spend time with me. But to your point, it was his question to me that got me thinking and asking. And it was in this meeting. Many people who've listened to this podcast have heard me share this story. I wrote about it in my second book. But I had 5 little children. We just had our twins, our last 2.
We got twin grandkids. We love them.
Oh, I love twins are amazing. So we went from 3 to 5 in 7 years, and I'm starting this business. We've just come out of this horrible situation financially, or we're not even out of it. And I'm with this mentor sitting in front of me who's got all this wisdom, talking about he can see Master Networks taking over the country. And I'm in this meeting, and my phone rings, and it's my wife, and she knows I've planned this day, and never bugging me, but she's texting, and I'm like, hey, excuse me, I need to step out, take this call. I go out in the parking lot. And she says, hey, I'm at the grocery store. I got 3 kids in the cart, and the cart's not working. And I just feel this pit in my stomach, so I get online and I look, and I never forget. And I remember consciously in this moment looking down, and I see $27. And I said, called her back. I said, I don't know what, but you got to get whatever for $27 today. That's all I've got. I'll figure out tomorrow. And I hang it. So this dichotomy, I got my wife on the phone. We've got $27. I walk in, and I got a guy who's telling me we're going to take over the world, right? He's laying it all out. But it was the question he asked.
What was the question?
So I said to him, I said, Dave, It was Dave Jenks who helped run Keller Williams Realty International. And Dave is sitting in front of me. He's a great friend still this day. And I said, Dave, I don't know how I can run and do this thing you're talking about. And the only question he said is, why not you? Why not you? And what that did is it caused me to start asking myself questions. Why not me? What am I missing? To your point about over-skilled, over-talented, like all this, I couldn't see it in that moment. But it was the question got me thinking, maybe, what if, even if it's just possible, right?
Yep. Yeah. It gives me chills because it is a magical process, and it's probably one of the most important skills that we can learn, especially at this time.
Yeah. So first of all, thank you, by the way. That's just such a great conversation. I almost forgot we're doing a show. Just this conversation. So
ask you a question?
Yes. Here's the question. How do people get your book? How do they find it and get it?
By the way, thank you for that question. We want everyone to go to Amazon.com and for their own good, first of all, they'll get it delivered when it comes out. Second of all, our publisher said, look, the only way you go up the algorithms anymore, 80% of all books are sold on Amazon. So I said, okay, then we got to sell on Amazon, which is different. Remember, when I was selling chicken soup, there were 19,000 bookstores, and we sold the company in 2008, right before the crash. I did not know, but I think at some levels, when you're really asking God, the third thing we're asking about today, God takes care of you, and we take care of God. We tithe in every book. The point is, we went from 19,000 bookstores to 400. So now Amazon's it. Our publisher calls us maybe 3 weeks ago and says, hey, look, the only way you're going to do this is if you sell 20,000 pre-orders. Right now, please, if you're watching and you want this book, order it today on Amazon. It won't come until April 28th, but we got to sell 20,000. We're booming, but we need to get that job done so we get in the thing so we help more people, because our deal is we really are dedicated to creating a bunch of people that master the fine art, the talent, the philosophy, and the science of asking, which we think we've done a better job putting together than ever been done before, because we think it's going to be more needed, because we think the economy will roar. I think this next decade, when I come and talk for you, I said, we're going to talk about 7 trends that are going to exponentially grow a $50 trillion, that's not B, that's a T, $1 trillion economy. Stuff like one of the businesses we're part of is trash to cash, where we can recycle every atom in every garbage yard, every landfill. All of us create 5 pounds of garbage a day, and it'll kill us if we don't do the right thing with it. And we're going to recycle the metal, the glass, the plastic, which is wrecking our oceans and killing our fish, and take back all the fuels. We're in a monster good time when we get past this virus.
Well, so everyone listening, couple quick things. We originally had Connect scheduled in April, and Mark was going to be a surprise guest speaker. We had not let anyone know, but now, and we're moving Connect to August. You guys will both be there, and we're looking forward to having you there. And so, as a gift, when you said the book comes out April 28th.
Yeah.
April 28th.
See, what a birthday present. That's my birthday. So for birthday for me. Yeah. So for me, here's what we're going to do. I've purchased 300 copies for all the attendees of Connect. And what I'd ask each of my tribe to do is go to Amazon and purchase a copy of this book. Now, here's what I'm going to ask. I'm going to ask you to purchase a copy for yourself, and I'm going to ask you to purchase one other to give the gift to someone else, at least one other copy to give to somebody else. And you'll do that. That'll be a birthday present to me by you buying that book. So I appreciate that. You'll be supporting these two fine humans, because they are making an impact on the world. And that's what we constantly discuss, is about making an impact. So remember, go to Amazon, look for Ask, Bridge from Your Dreams to Your Destiny, and buy one copy for yourself and a minimum of another copy for a friend to give away to somebody else to share that gift.
Thank you, Chaz. That's
really you are
important.
absolutely
help so many people with this.
I agree.
And it will be the book that will be a life changer and a game changer. One of those books that you're going to pull down every time you're a little stuck and look at it again and get going.
I'm so looking forward to it.
If they get the Amazon receipt and send it electronically to reception@markvictorhansen.com, we're going to send you out a bunch of gifts that match that birthday gift. We're going to have this for everybody's birthday. Yeah. We'll give some great gifts. Like I have the most listened to tape ever, like Strangest Secret, and we'll send that to everybody of your tribe, because that was a tape that got us out of the depression of, this is way before I was born, but Earl Nightingale created Nightingale Conant. He owned a big insurance company, went on vacation, did the tape. Then 50 years later, I'm selling a lot of tapes like How to Think Bigger Than You Ever Thought You Could Think, and Sell Yourself Rich, and all those kind of great tapes. Still available, by the way. They brought them all back out, which is sort of astounding to us. Yeah. But that's the times we're in. But they came to me, Vic Conant, the guy who runs it, and said, hey, look, would you rewrite this Strangest Secret and bring it up to date 50 years? We've tested 300 people, everybody from Dr. Wayne Dyer and Deepak Chopra and, all the top women, and they want your voice and your thinking. And I said, wow, that book helped me out of my troubles back in 74. So absolutely.
Isn't that amazing?
And we did it. And he had 100 million listen, and I've had 100 million listen, but we'll give that to you free, because
I love that.
Nightingale, that's what I'm saying is I get goosebumps saying the next thing. I believe we're going to create more entrepreneurs than ever. And because I think everybody is intrinsically an entrepreneur. What Crystal articulated was that we all have infinitely more potential than we've used, whether it's 18 billion brain cells or a trillion. I don't know how to count that, but we're going to start using our inner resources and get outer results. It's the most exquisitely exciting, luminally relevant time in history.
Well, I couldn't be more excited for this book. Really, just the things we've talked about today, you and I have spoken. I'm excited for this book because I think inherently for me, I've always asked questions. My mom used to say my teachers didn't care for me as a student because I'd always ask. Maybe for multiple reasons, but she'd say I'd always ask why. I always wanted to know why. So here's this assignment. Why? What benefit will it give me? I don't know why that curiosity always was in me and as soon as I knew why and how it would benefit me, I was all in. But until then, I was always questioning and I was asking questions. And so for me, asking questions has always just been sort of natural, but I know it's not for everyone. And I think there's this internal ask, as you said, and then asking God and all. I'm excited to dive into this book. I'm honored that you would be on our show. And I'm just so thrilled for our membership. I'll tell you something. This is a really bold statement, but I believe it to be true. I know you guys get the opportunity to travel and speak in front of a lot of groups. This isn't an event. You will love our people. The one thing I hear from every speaker that has come, this will be our 5th year, is they walk away and go, there's something special about this group. And I know you'll feel that when you're with our group, when you come to connect.
We look forward to it. We teach that your network creates your net worth. So you've got to network with the right people. And that's what Andrew Carnegie, who is called a robber baron by people who don't understand what he really did. I mean, he made his fortune. He made America work because he built the railroads. And when his adversary, who has stopped using the railroads, John D. Rockefeller, stopped taking and shipping stuff, he built pipes and didn't tell him that was going to happen and tried to put him out of business so he could buy the business. Instead, he had a problem, just like we're talking about today. Instead, he said, wait a second, I got this stuff called Bessemer steel. It's the strongest steel ever. What I'll do is I'll build high-rise buildings. And he builds the Empire State Building. Up until that time, there was no such thing as a high-rise building. And suddenly we went from 2 and 3, 4, and maybe up to a 4-story building to high-rises with 80 and then 106 stories in America. So it's sort of an amazing story that problems are opportunities in disguise. And we think that the questioning is what makes us bloom and grow where we're planted.
Do you think that, sorry, this just popped in my head. Do you think that because we're asking opens us out open to growing and creating, and God is a creator, and so that gives us that that sort of connectiveness to creation?
Totally. Yeah. I mean, we talk about that all the time. And in fact, I just wrote something about that the other day that I'm going to share on social media. But, you hear about, we're created in the image of our creator, right? Well, our creator is the creator. So obviously it doesn't mean, however whatever your perception of that is, it doesn't mean you're like an old man in the sky with, a beard. It means you are a creator. And if you think about it, we're the only animal that can create. Look at what we create. We create high rises and bridges that span miles, and we cure incurable diseases, which is going to happen again. We create algorithms that can collect every bit of data that we need to do everything in our lives. So talk about creation. We are amazing beings created by the creator. We have infinite possibility. We truly do. And that's why we know that the asking God part is one of the most important parts for us and for everyone. Just whatever your faith is or belief, but within that capacity, it is just when you can open up to that possibility that you are a miraculous creation and that the universe is set up to respond to you. Science
amazing.
proves that out. When you study quantum physics,
Yes.
What you observe is what you get. I mean,
Yes.
that all feeds in. It's really where science and God and creation merge. And it's so beautiful. I think it's one of the most important things for our listeners to understand. And I hope everybody can really embrace that a little bit more.
And with your permission,
Yes.
yesterday we're out hiking because we live here in the beautiful McDowell Mountains, and it just is beyond spectacular. But Crystal and I were talking, and I said, look, one guy was out of polio, right? One guy. Yeah. Dr. Jonas Salk. Now, I get goosebumps again. He was close friends with my teacher and close friends with Dr. Armin Hammer and a few people that I know. And wow. I never met him, so I don't want to pretend that. But the guy who ran his institute is one of the guys I've helped a lot and worked with. Dr. Dennis Waitley was head of Salk Institute working for Jonas. So what I decided is today, and I'm pushing the edge of the envelope, and it's dangerous to do this, but we asked ourselves the question, well, wait a second, what does that take? So today I'm going to do everything I can to write up, where is Jonas Salk, male or female or team right now? Because I'm saying, one of the lines we wrote in our book that is so critical, I'm going to read you the exact line because we were going over it before we got on the show. We have a thing called belief, and we say, believe and trust that the answer is somewhere waiting for you. Believe and trust that the answer is somewhere waiting for you. I'm saying maybe, because I'm a motivational, inspirational, educational speaker, maybe I can turn the key on giving somebody, that Jonas Salk, that Mrs. Salk or Miss Salk or Tina Salk, permission to say, hey, wait a second, I got the damn answer here. I'm going to reveal it to the planet because we got to get rid of this thing because we can't afford to have 1 million people die.
No.
So you made me think of something. Sometimes what we need to ask isn't what or how, but who. Sometimes
I like it.
It's who could come. Who do I need to connect with? Who could be the answer for me? Or who could I be the answer for someone else? I think a lot of those answers come as who. Guys, we've been so blessed today. Those of you who tune in every Monday, noon Central to Connect, Share, Prosper. This has been uplifting for me. As I joked, I kind of forgot we were recording an episode because I've been so just engaged in this conversation. I want to ask a fun question. Can we ask a fun question?
Sure.
In terms of ask, and I don't know why this popped in my head, but I was thinking when you said ask, it made me think like, what are the big asks I've had in my life? And I think that one of the scariest asks I ever had was to ask my wife on our first date. So I'm curious, who asked who?
I asked her. So her mother sends her to a seminar I'm doing called Author 101, and it's now the VIP thing late at night. And I'm thronged with a lot of people around me asking, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. She's standing way over to the other side of the room, but some woman inadvertently hits a glass of red wine and wipes out on her white pants.
Oh.
And I just happened to see it, and I just cut through the group because I saw this heroic glow, this magnificence of humanness that I wanted to be close to. So I run over, grab her hand, and I say, I know where the club soda is.
True story.
And we can save those pants of yours. And if you don't mind, I'll just take you there. And once we get outside, it's like 9 o'clock or so at night, and it's a busy night. And I go, are you hungry? And she says, I am, because I love questions. And
yes.
Says, I'm hungry, but we can't eat here because there's 1,000 people here that want to have 2 minutes of my time. It just isn't going to work. Can I take you off site after you get this out? And said, yeah. So we go to this restaurant, and there's another throng of people at this Hollywood restaurant. We were in LA, and I thought, oh boy, $100 bill isn't going to get us in. So we walk up to and the maitre d' looks at her and says, okay, I give up. Who is she? Because he's going through all the movie stars in his head because she looked like a movie star. I said, you don't recognize her?
Good question.
Now he's done for.
That is so good. That is so good.
He says, okay, who is she? I said, she's a queen of Denmark. Now, we're both Danish, so right. I'm goofing. He said, oh, great. And who are you? I said, who travels with the queen? He said, You're the king. Oh my God, we got a table for you. Just hold on a second.
That's literally the best story.
So
I get goosebumps
funny.
telling it because you're so wonderfully receptive. Tell us a story about you, how you got into your betrothal.
Oh, so it was pretty simple. I was going to school playing football. I happened to notice this girl, and I said, I noticed, because I think I'm smart. I said I notice every Tuesday and Thursday when I have this class, she walks by right after class is done. And so I tried to get out of class early and quick and all this stuff. And I kept thinking, how am I going to ask this girl out? How am I going to ask this girl out? And one day my mom called. I lived about an hour away where I was going to school from where I grew up. And I kept driving home on the weekend, and I would spend time with my family. I'd go to church with them. And my mom said, I think you need to go to church back where you live. You just need to engage with people there. And so I'm like, oh, shoot. Okay. I'm on my own for the first time. I walk into church, and I'm sitting in the back, kind of sneak in, sneak out. And this girl walks in. And I was like, that's the same girl from school. And so I just went up to her after that, and I asked her out on a date. And then I found out she was still in high school taking college classes. So her dad was not very excited that I was asking, a college guy was asking out a high school girl. But now we're about to celebrate 20 years here in a month. So
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That is wonderful.
So
it's wonderful to find your life partner, isn't
And
it?
it's great.
It's so amazing.
So amazing.
Yeah.
We're so thankful for this. We're so thankful he asked.
Yeah, by the way, just to
And Mom sent me there.
do one last thing is that we're sitting at Mother's Restaurant, which is an organic green food restaurant in Costa Mesa, back where we live. And we're just falling deeply in love. And the guy sitting
Before we
next to
got
us.
married,
Before we got married, right before we got married.
Yeah.
The man of the cloth is sitting next to us, and he just can't help himself. So he says, "Can I talk to you too?" And I said, "Yeah." He said, "Can I give you the secret to keeping a marriage together forever? There's only one." And like, what are you going to say? The guy's asking us that question, and we're just trying to fall in love. We've got our marriage date set. We know where we're getting married. We've invited all the people. I said, yeah, lay it on us. So he said, well, I've worked for Billy Graham for 60 years, and we find out one thing works. I said, what? And I'd met Dr. Graham and spent time with him. I said, what is that, sir? And he says, you've got to pray out loud together.
Wow.
Every day.
And we never heard that. I mean, go ahead.
Right. Well, no, I just, it's funny because it sounds crazy, but I had never really done that. I prayed by myself my entire life, or prayed in groups, or like family prayers, but I hadn't prayed out loud with my significant love for, out loud ever. And it kind of was this new level of intimacy.
Yes.
We trusted it. It really is. I mean,
I agree.
Together, and coming before God together, and but it really has been miraculous. Every morning we do, our morning prayer meditation time together, and it keeps
and at
us
night before we go to sleep,
so aligned and so
Love
focused on what matters.
Love that.
Yeah.
we pray for each other, then we pray for each of our kids, and we pray for the businesses, and then we pray literally for America, and then the bigger thing is the world, which is the spiritual way.
I love that. Well, it has been an honor to have you on our show today. It's been a pleasure to get to know both of you more. Guys, you've been listening to this episode. Remember, my ask, again, for my birthday, this is what I'm asking. Go to Amazon, buy Ask for yourself, buy at least one other copy for a friend. Send in your receipt of purchase to remind me what it is. We'll make sure we put it in the show notes.
RECPTION.
Reception.
MarkVictorHansen.com.
Reception at MarkVictorHansen.com.
Yeah. Send you some other gifts
Send some
that'll
goodies.
celebrate your birthday.
Yeah.
That's great. Love it. Love it. Love it. Thank you so much. Guys, remember, every Monday, noon Central, I bring you successful entrepreneurs like we heard from today, who are going to share ups, downs, the ins, the outs, everything it takes to run a successful business and make an impact on the world and leave a legacy beyond the business. So make sure you join me next week on our next episode of Connect, Share, Prosper.
Stop hoping for your business to grow and start mastering the formula for success that every entrepreneur needs to grow their business. Join us for 5+1 Mastery, where every week we go in depth on how to grow your business the right way. Learn more at 5+1mastery.com.